Let's go, bro. What you
You
got?
want me?
Let's do it.
All right. All right. So I want you to take me back before the GNI group. Before that entrepreneur chapter. What does serving in the Air Force actually teach you about running a business?
Everything. So veterans get exactly what an entrepreneur and founder needs to be successful from day one. So, basic training, you learn teamwork, you learn discipline, you learn structure, you learn the importance of studying, you learn the importance of becoming a different person. So when I went into the Air Force, I was 19 years old. I was a super knucklehead. I was in calling myself in the streets. I did call myself trying to sell a little drugs, but wasn't good at it. And I knew that if I didn't get my life together, I was going to end up dead or in jail. And I was in some trouble with the law. And so the Air Force saved my life first and foremost. But everything that you get while in the military in terms of going to bed at a specific time at night every single night, waking up early in the morning, studying your job, preparing yourself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually to get ready for war. And that's what business ownership is. It is a full blown war. Every single day you get up and you go to battle against your competition, you go to battle against the economy, but most importantly, you go to battle against yourself. Everything in terms of being successful, building a great business, all comes down to who you are. So you have to grow, you have to become better. And the Air Force is what taught me, how to basically become a leader. Because you start learning how to lead people. You're responsible for billions of dollars in resources at 19, 20 years of age. And sometimes if you join as early as 17, you can be responsible for those kind of resources. You take risk while you're in the military. Like nothing is just cookie cutter. Like you got to take a chance to learn, to grow, to become better. And even when you see how our military goes into other countries and helps those countries, that just shows you that solving problems and working together collaboratively as a team, I got that in the military. Right. Of course, before joining the military, I played all kinds of sports. So basketball, football, track. So teamwork, leadership, all that kind of stuff is what helps every single person in life. So when kids learn how to play sports, the jobs that you go into, all of those things contribute to who you will ultimately become. And so everything, my foundation from a business standpoint. Now I hustled, right? I hustled before going into the mill. Like I told you, I was calling myself in the streets. But I did other stuff. I cut grass. I washed cars. Took trash out, of course, as a younger kid. But I've always, even while in the military, I had a lawn care business that I ran successfully. I made more money in my lawn care business than I did what I was getting from the military. So my military check wasn't even being touched. But when I got ready to deploy to go to Baghdad, I had to shut it down because I didn't have a team and I didn't have systems in place. And so the biggest reason why businesses don't succeed is because of their infrastructure, the leadership, and the systems. And the military taught me all of it.
I'm about to say, speaking of billions, I remember you picking back off early in the topic when you said around night when you was around the age of 19 that they had you handling all that money. So I see that you helped develop systems that saved the Air Force an estimated $2.5 billion a year. Now that's a lot.
Yep.
How does a military guy go from that to acquiring pest control companies?
So the $2.5 billion system is like we had a deployment system and it was terrible while in the military. So the deployment system was basically we were responsible for issuing equipment to people before they left to go to say Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, or someplace like that. And when they got ready to come back, a lot of people wouldn't bring their equipment back. And so our squadron started getting flagged for loss. So one of the things that you don't want to do is waste taxpayers' money, right? And so when there's a fraud, waste, and abuse kind of scenario where the numbers aren't adding up, people start getting notified, and then some people start getting questioned, like, why is it that your squadron is losing all of this money? And so I was a part of the deployment team responsible for making sure that people had all their shots, had all their paperwork, like their life insurance in place. But most importantly, we would issue them equipment so they can do the job while they were over there. And when we got tasked with figuring out like where all of this equipment was, we built a system, and the system was a tracking system that allowed us to figure out like who took it out, where they went, where it is, and when it came back, and to make sure it was in our inventory. And so that's how the whole building of a system that saved them $2.5 billion comes into play. So in terms of pest control, there was a guy that I was looking to hire to be our CEO or COO within the company, and his background was in pest control. And so he started talking to me about how he bought pest control businesses, scaled pest control businesses, and then sold pest control businesses. And the reason why pest control businesses are so powerful is because of the monthly recurring revenue. So every month or every quarter, somebody shows up, here at our house and goes and sprays for bugs. So whether it's termites, on an annual kind of inspection, or when the seasons change, somebody's going to have to come out to your house and spray for bugs. Otherwise, you got bugs everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, from a business standpoint, any business that has a subscription or a membership, or the payment's going to be automatic every month or every 3 months, every 6 months, or every year, that's a great business because it has recurring revenue. And so that's why pest control. So some of the other ones, HVAC, when somebody, some folks have the HVAC service, every 6 months, or like when the seasons change, or landscaping, where especially like in the Southeast, which is the area we focus on, people come to, like the guy comes here to our house 12 months out of the year, don't matter. During the growing season, spring and summer, he comes every 2 weeks. During the off season, he comes every month. But we still pay him the same amount off season or in the growing season, right? And so that's our contract, that's our agreement. And so that way the grass stays cut year round. And so that's why, pest control has recurring revenue. And especially in the Southeastern region, bugs are bad. And so because bugs are bad, it makes a whole lot of money.
Okay. So it says you ran an agency that used to demand 18-hour days from you. Walk me through that. So what changed and what it felt like the first time the company kept running without you carrying it?
Oh man. So what changed? What changed is something had to change if I wanted results in my life to change. So I believe in my early years of transitioning out of the military into entrepreneurship cost me a lot. It cost me a lot in terms of my relationships with my son and my daughter. It cost me a lot in terms of relationships with my family, and it cost me a lot in terms of relationships with my wife, Bianca. And that for me is what had to change, because I didn't want to ruin the relationships that I had in my life. And so, yes, you got to work hard. Yes, I understand working long hours. Yes, it's all necessary, working smart and working hard. But when it starts to cost you the relationships that are most important to you, you got to come up with a different way. You can't keep doing it the same way. And so what I did was I started realizing that it was the system. Like I needed to create a system for the company. And that was a hard, pill for me to swallow, because I was like, man, you already knew it in the context of military, how important systems and processes and plans and, the best talented people being a part of the team, but then being able to shift from that employee mindset to now being a business owner and investor mindset. And so as a business owner, you don't have a business until you have a system, and then you have talented people on your team who can fit into that system. And so what took me from 18-hour days down to just about 5-hour days is building out that system, and then finding talented people like you to come and be a part of the team, so that, the things that your role is better fit for, you take care of, right? So for example, we talked about it. You record the content, So then you turn around and you upload the content and you hand it off to Al, who then takes it, starts to edit the content. So that's the system. And so having talented people like you and Al plugged into the system, it gives me more time to focus on the stuff that I need to focus on, like partnerships, joint ventures, collaboration, capital raising, so that we can have the resources that we need for the rest of the team to be able to go do what we need them to do. And so it's systems. It's 100% systems. If your business doesn't have systems, efficient systems, and talented people sitting in the seat to help you run the business, then you don't really have a business. And so for me, it's a game changer. I get to go to the gym more often because, the time that I used to spend, working, I couldn't go to the gym because I'm too busy working. And so now it allows me to go to the gym more often. It allows me to be in the bed by 9 o'clock at night instead of working till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and then being back up at 4 in the morning. I still get up at 4 regardless, but being able to go to bed at 9 o'clock is a game changer because now I'm more charged, I'm more fresh, I'm ready to rock and roll. But also it puts us in a position to where the company can make more money because any investor wants to buy a system. They don't want to buy a job. Like the investors don't want to give their money to something and then now they got to step in and sit in the seat of the business owner. And so the way we're building things is so that I, as the business owner, I'm not involved in the business day-to-day operations at all. So having our CEO, all the executive team in place allows me to step out of the business from day one. And with me not being in the business, that already allows us to be attractive to investors because I'm not involved in all of it.
Okay. So I want you to take me to a specific moment where you knew the GNI Group had to exist.
Ooh. So the GNI Group, I've had the names for like more than 10 years. So the first time I ever registered it, it was back in 2016. I was living in Warner Robins, Georgia. I registered the name. So GNI is Latin for genius. And I believe every single human being on this planet has some kind of genius inside of them. And so, but it went dead. So moving to California, Florida, and then now back to Georgia. And so I was getting ready to go on the Secretary of State website to register a totally different business name. But then I searched for my own name. And when I searched for my own name, the GNI Group popped up and it was the one I had registered back in 2016. And so right then in that moment, I was like, nope, this is the one I'm going with. But I knew the GNI Group had to exist because one, the name, it speaks to the kind of people that we want within our company. Smart, intelligent people, A players, talented, but they, they fit into the culture of what we want to create. And the culture we want to create is people who, give, people who serve, people who solve problems, people who value time, professionalism, quality work. And so I knew it had to be a thing as well because in order for a lot of the goals and dreams that, my wife and I would talk about for our family and future generations, I knew it had to be something big. And so it has grown into what it has grown into right now, but we just get started and we got a whole lot of work, to go. But I knew it had to be a thing if I wanted to change, my own situation because I was sick and tired of, living like I was living. It's not that it's a bad life. Don't get me wrong. My life, good, like great, like not worried about nothing in terms of just being able to pay bills and eat and groceries and all that kind of stuff, enjoy ourselves and take vacation. But one of our advisors, he likes to say, hey, you want to go and go to the beach money. And I'm like, yeah, you can call it go to the beach money. I'm calling it private jet and yacht money because I want to take those kind of vacations and do it with my family. So the only way that's going to happen is you got to make a whole lot of money. And to have a company like the GNI Group and the talented people that we have around us, that's the game changer for me. And so that's how I knew it had to be something big.
Now, you led teams of over 28,000 people. Now, I know with some companies, they might not lead the same amount, but at the same time, they still lead a lot of people. Mm-hmm. What's the single biggest leadership lesson almost nobody talks about?
Ooh, wait, that's a good one. The single biggest leadership lesson that almost no one talks about. Ooh, ooh. I would have to say communication. So your ability to take your thoughts and your ideas and communicate them to people in a way that they get what you're talking about and they are inspired on what you want them to do and they're clear on how we're going to get there and they're clear on what their role is going to be in the whole journey and the whole process. So for me, being able to communicate the vision, communicate the plan, and then help other people see how they're going to win in the plan, I think that's probably the greatest leadership lesson that anyone could ever learn. So the other day, we were at my sister's house in Huntsville, Alabama, and the kids were running around playing, and I was sitting here, my sister was sitting at the head of the table, and Bianca was sitting across the table from me, and we started talking about leadership. And they tried to poke fun at me or poke at me, whatever you want to call it, about me having the ability to follow somebody else's plan. And like I told them, I don't have a problem with following somebody else's plan. Your plan just has to make sense. If your plan doesn't make sense, then it's real difficult for me to follow your plan. And so that just means I've had enough experiences to where following people's plans can get you hurt, can get you killed, can cost you waste your time, can cost you money. And so anytime somebody is trying to get me to do something, especially at this age in this part of my own journey, like I got my own plan. So if your plan doesn't line up with my plan or where we're trying to go, then you're just noise and I'm not gonna pay you any attention. But when you're competent and you have a great plan, I'm willing to take a look at your plan. And a lot of times people aren't really good at communicating or talking about their plan. And so that's why they can't get people to believe in them. That's why they can't get people to follow them. And that's why they can't get people to do the things that they're asking them to do. And so for me, being able to communicate your ideas, articulate them into a plan that makes sense, and then helping people see how they're going to win within that plan, that's the number one leadership lesson I think everybody needs to learn, or even people don't talk about.
Okay.